Imagine a country that tops all happiness rankings but seems like a frozen fairy tale. A place where 188,000 lakes blend with more than 170,000 islands, and daily life follows the rhythm of its inhabitants, without rushing or stress. We are talking about Finland, a Nordic paradise where the eyes are soothed by vast forests, endless pine trees, and silence broken only by the northern lights. And some say that some of the most beautiful and discreet women in Northern Europe live there, with that honest, natural look that impresses effortlessly. But the question that remains in many people's minds is, are foreigners welcome there? Is it possible to live in this frozen country with a first-world quality of life? And most importantly, is it really worth it? You'll find out all this by the end of this video. Like this video if you enjoy this style of documentary that breaks with common sense. This content is controversial, and your support with likes and comments helps me to continue. In Finland, the first thing that strikes you is the silence, and then the gaze. The women there have a style that may seem distant at first glance, but soon catches the attention of those who observe calmly. They don't overdo their makeup, rarely wear flashy clothes, and walk the streets as if they don't need to prove anything to anyone. Their beauty is as cold as the climate, but not in a bad way. They have delicate features, fair skin, blonde or gray hair, and eyes that range from deep blue to light green. It's not the kind of beauty that screams, it's the kind you remember days later because it has presence and authenticity. Another curious detail: they speak softly, avoid excessive eye contact with strangers, and have a more introspective attitude. This does not mean they are unfriendly. On the contrary, once the ice is broken, the conversation is light, sincere, and direct, without beating around the bush. And yes, many wonder, do they like foreigners? The answer is, it depends. In Finland, there is no American or Latin warmth, but there is curiosity. A well-educated man who respects their space and shows genuine interest in the local culture is much more likely to win their sympathy and perhaps something more. But of course, this doesn't happen overnight. The average Finn is not one to open up about their personal life in the first conversation. You need to show that you are there with good intentions. The first thing a foreigner notices when arriving in Finland is the feeling of safety. You walk the streets late at night, see bicycles parked without locks, children going to school alone, and think, this can't be real. But it is. The crime rate is one of the lowest in Europe. The number of thefts and robberies is minimal, and when they do occur, they are usually resolved quickly. But that doesn't mean there aren't pitfalls for unsuspecting tourists. In very touristy areas of Helsinki, such as Senate Square or the South Harbor area, there have been cases of illegal taxi drivers overcharging. It's not common, but there have been cases of tourists paying triple the price. The tip is simple. Always use official apps such as Bolt or Uber, or public transportation, which is efficient and punctual. Another issue is hidden prices in some bars or small immigrant markets, especially near port areas or stations. The price is not clearly indicated and only appears at the end. More impulsive tourists can easily fall into these traps. If you've come this far, it's because you want to know what really matters. How much does it cost to live in Finland? The currency used in the country is the euro, and today €1 is equivalent to about $1.18. Yes, the amount's scary, but the high cost of living is accompanied by a structure that delivers what it promises. In Helsinki, the country's capital, a simple one-bedroom apartment in the center can cost around €1,200, approximately $1,416 per month. If it is further away, the price drops to around €900. A larger two-bedroom apartment can easily exceed €1,800. But here's the thing, most salaries keep pace with this cost. The average net monthly salary in Finland is around €3,300, about $3,878 per month. Those who earn the minimum wage can still live, eat, and have a good quality of life. Public transportation, for around €70 per month, you can use trains, buses, trams, and the subway at will. And the supermarket? A basic shopping trip for 2 people costs around €300 per month. The highlight? Healthcare and education are practically free. Working in Finland as a foreigner requires in most cases knowledge of the language, but in areas like technology, engineering, scientific research, and tourism, English already opens many doors. In other words, with preparation, it is possible to live well, save money, and build a dignified life there. The first thing that strikes newcomers is the silence. Here, no one shouts on public transport, no one honks their horn in traffic, no one invades anyone else's space. The respect for the collective is almost sacred. Finns value introspection. They speak softly and avoid prolonged eye contact with strangers. And free time is sacred here. Finns make a point of having their moments of calm, especially in contact with nature. Many have houses in rural areas where they go fishing, picking mushrooms, or simply listening to the silence of the forests. The relationship with time is also different. Here, everything runs on time. If you make an appointment for 9 a.m., they will be ready at 8:59 a.m. The food is simple, healthy, and practical. Fish, black bread, potatoes, and wild berries. And coffee is almost a religion. Finland is the country that consumes the most coffee per person in the world. An interesting fact, the Finnish government sends boxes with clothes, diapers, and essential products to all pregnant women, a tradition that began in the 1930s. As for foreigners, they greatly respect spontaneity, so long as it comes with politeness. Friendly, discreet foreigners who are interested in the local culture are usually very welcome. Those who arrive wanting to make noise or impose their way of life end up being ignored. Is it worth living in Finland? The answer is complex. Living in Finland is like living inside a Swiss watch. Everything works, everything has its time and place. But the cold is not only in the climate, it's also in the lifestyle. Loneliness can hit hard. The dark days of winter are long, and the silence can become a burden if you are not emotionally prepared. Adapting can be a challenge, especially if you come from a noisy country full of interaction. It's not just the language that's difficult, it's the way of thinking and the time it takes to form bonds. On the other hand, if you value security, stability, contact with nature, and education for your children, then Finland may be exactly what you were looking for. Perhaps the greatest lesson this country teaches the world is that happiness is not about shouting with joy, but of the peace of living without fear, with the calm that silence brings, and with the certainty that tomorrow will be better or at least the same.